Good morning, I'm Sarah Davis and our top story this morning. A tragic incident unfolded late last night as Michael, a local man, was found dead in what police are investigating as a possible murder. We'll have more updates as the investigation continues. So far, we have identified 4 possible suspects.
Nancy, a chronic smoker, Mark, a recent graduate with an electrical engineering degree, Lucas, Nancy's 10-year-old son, and Uncle Ali, a ninjutsu professional.
Chief officer in this case. Between interviews with the suspect and the CCTV footage of the building, we have been able to reconstruct the following time.
The following images are from the scene of the crime. At 6 p.m, Nancy arrives at Michael's house with her son Lucas. At 6:30, Uncle Ali and Mark arrive. At 7, everyone goes outside and they have dinner for about an hour. At 9 o'clock, they go back indoors, and at 9:30, Nancy and Lucas leave. At 10:30, Mark leaves, and 11:30, Uncle Ali leaves. At 12:45 a.m, the CCTV shows footage of Nancy coming back to Michael's and leaving a few minutes later. This makes her the last person to see him alive.
There's more to the story than you thought. Let me explain. I took 3 crucial measurements, 1 of the kitchen's ambient temperature and 2 of the dead body 3 minutes apart. We know that according to the physics of thermal energy transfers, the temperature of the body will decrease exponentially, as we can see in this graph, which plots temperature as a function of time. We assume that the body temperature was initially at 37 degrees Celsius, which based on these 2 data points, we will be able to reconstruct the initial temperature here. The crucial equation is temperature as a function of time equals the ambient temperature plus the initial temperature minus the ambient temperature multiplied by e to the power of negative k. K is the constant we will solve for and t is the time. Hence, we can deduce that by 11 o'clock, the body had been dead for about 9 hours and 10 minutes, meaning that Michael died at exactly 1:50 a.m.
In case you're wondering, bodies decrease in temperature after death due to heat loss through a process known as thermal conduction. After death, the body's metabolism stops and it no longer generates heat through biological processes like circulation and cellular activity. As a result, the body starts to lose heat to the surrounding environment. Well then, considering the wounds, then the correct suspect should be found easily. Were there any fingerprints found on the knives? We've just been running some tests and actually did find fingerprints on some of the knives. As you know, each person has a unique fingerprint, so we were able to trace it back to a single suspect. They were Uncle Ali's. It's got to be Uncle Ali. First of all, he was the last person to leave, so he could have easily killed Michael when nobody else was around. And secondly, Michael was surrounded by knives when he died. We know that Uncle Ali was an expert at jiu-jitsu, so he would have plenty experiences with knives and probably know how to kill someone with it.
Perhaps, how do you explain it? Uncle Ali left the house at 11:30, but Michael died at 1:50.
Easy. Uncle Ali hit Michael on the head with a fire extinguisher, knocking him out, then Uncle Ali leaves. But Michael isn't dead just yet, only unconscious. However, he's still bleeding out slowly from the knife wounds. He never regains consciousness, but dies after a while due to blood loss.
Wait, I think you might have the wrong cause of death in the first place. Looking at the depth of the knife wounds, they were not consistently stabbed. They're also too shallow and would not have come with enough force to cause death.
Yes, in fact, the amount of blood lost by Michael would not be enough to kill him. The amount of blood you can lose before you die is about 40% of your blood. For an adult, this is about 2 liters. By our best estimate, Michael only lost about 0.25 liters before he died. This would surely weaken him, but it would not be enough to kill him. If it wasn't a stabbing, how did Michael die?
The results of the chemical analysis are here, and I believe that we have identified the murder. After running different blood tests, we identified high levels of poisonous substances in Michael's bloodstream. Hydrogen cyanide is a simple, colorless, and highly toxic compound.
HCN is highly toxic due to its ability to inhibit cytochrome C oxidase, an enzyme in the electron transport chain of cells. This disrupts cellular respiration, preventing the production of ATP, which is the body's form of energy, leading to cell death and potentially fatal poisoning. We believe this is what caused Michael's death, but half the lethal dose managed to enter Michael's body. The lethal dose of HCN for the average person is only 240 milligrams. As you can see, it really doesn't take a lot to kill you.
One way of producing hydrogen cyanide gas is by burning acrylonitrile, a compound made of carbon, hydrogen, and nitrogen atoms. With this molecular formula, it has a molar mass of 53.06 grams per mole. As you can see in this reaction diagram, there are many different pathways for the combustion of acrylonitrile, all of which produce hydrogen cyanide as a byproduct. Acrylonitrile is commonly found in ABS plastic, a common plastic found in the making of Lego bricks, consulting to about 15 to 35% of the total mass. By simple calculations, we can find that the percentage by mass of hydrogen cyanide in acrylonitrile is about 48%.
Therefore, in between 7.2 and 16.8% of the mass can be converted into HCN through combustion.
Michael did have a collection of Lego sets in the house, but then it's obvious that Nancy was the murderer. She came back later in the night and is a chronic smoker. A touch of her lit cigarette, a pile of Legos is enough to light them on fire.
Wait, I was just talking with Uncle Ali, and the strangest thing stood out to me. He told me that after Nancy left, Michael decided to play some video game. He said that Mark wanted to watch a movie instead, and he seemed almost a little nervous when we still wanted to play the game.
Did Uncle Ali say anything else?
Well, he said they couldn't get the video game to work, which was weird because Michael said that it had just been working fine yesterday. And anyways, eventually when they decided to watch the movie, just like Mark wanted, but halfway through the movie, Mark said he had to leave, like he wasn't even really interested in the first place.
That seems strange, but hardly enough to make him a suspect.
I tried looking closer at the burned spot in front of the TV, but I couldn't find anything else out of the ordinary except for the burnt wires and the amount of Legos, which you already knew about.
Did you say he was an electrical engineer?
Yeah, you just graduated from Berkeley.
Guys, this is going to sound really far-fetched, but just listen for a moment. First of all, ABS plastic has a really high electrical resistivity. Now that we know all the given information, we can solve for the resistance. We can then conclude that whatever trap Mark must have set, the resistance would have been equal to 0.0105 ohms. To calculate the resistance of something, we can use this equation. Given our information here, we can solve. Due to the fact that this figure is so small, it would have been hard for Mark to achieve this with only using ABS. Therefore, we conclude that the use of a metal filament would have been required. With a degree in electrical engineering like Mark has, it could be possible. A lit cigarette, however, would not achieve such combustion power. This theory for sure is if there was some sort of precise measurement indicating the exact timing that this Lego trap was set up. Based on the recreation of the timeline, we know that Mark would have had to set up the trap at approximately 9:30. Also, based on my observation of the burnt area, the wires involved would have had to be completely devoted to dumping their electrical energy into the Lego trap, so they would not have been able to contribute anything to other functions, such as the controller.
And isn't that what we heard from Uncle Ali? He said that he tried to play a video game, but it didn't work.
It would make perfect sense because the movie on television screen was hooked up to a different electrical source and it was separate from the gaming console.
Uncle Ali also said that Mark didn't seem interested in the movie, even though it was his idea. Maybe he was just trying to distract them from looking too hard in the case. They found the real problem with the gaming setup. They finally cracked the mystery, but there's only one thing left. What was the deal with the knives?
Based on my best estimations, I would recreate the timeline of the murder as follows.
At 9:30, Mark helps Lucas clean up the Legos. When Lucas leaves, he has a few minutes alone before everyone comes back, so he sets up the Lego wire trap. It's essentially a time bomb that won't ignite for a few hours, giving Mark enough time to escape the crime scene. Around 1 a.m., the Legos finally ignite. Around 1:40, the smoke and fumes from the burning plastic are strong enough to wake Michael up. At this point, he is starting to suffer from the effects of hydrogen cyanide poisoning. Walking into the living room to see what's going on, Michael notices the burning plastic. Now that he's closer, Michael is receiving a higher dose of hydrogen cyanide, which would quickly become lethal. At about 1:45 a.m., Michael stumbles into the kitchen. He is probably trying to find the fire extinguisher to put out the fire. He tries to lift the fire extinguisher, but because he is weakened by the hydrogen cyanide poisoning, he can't support the heavy weight and it crashes into the knife rack as it falls. This sends a cascade of knives down, and Michael falls over in the process. The fire extinguisher hits him on the head as he succumbs to the toxic fumes.
Well, it's pretty clear who the murderer is now. I'll go immediately and arrest Mark. Nancy, you are free to go.
Thanks for helping me prove my innocence. I'll never forget how important science is in getting the truth of things.
Wait, what if Lucas was the murderer? It all makes sense now. Wait!